அங்கும் அங்கும் எங்கும் எங்கும் சுற்றி சுற்றி தீர்ந்தேன். சின்ன சின்ன பறவை போல் திசையெங்கும் பறந்தேன். வெயிலிலும் மழையிலும் விட்டு விட்டு அலைந்தேன். முகவரி எது என்று முகம் தொலைத்தேன். மனப்பித்தாய் போனேன், உன்னை கண்கள் தேடுறேன், தோழக்கைகள் நீளுறேன். இதயம் இதயம் துடிக்கின்றதே, எங்கும் உன் போல் மாசம் இல்லை, ஆதலால் உன்னை தேடினேன். தாய் மண்ணே வணக்கம், தாய் மண்ணே வணக்கம், தாய் மண்ணே வணக்கம். வந்தே மாதரம், ஹேய் வந்தே வந்தே மாதரம், ஹேய் வந்தே வந்தே மாதரம், வந்தே மாதரம், வந்தே வந்தே மாதரம், வந்தே மாதரம், வந்தே வந்தே மாதரம், வந்தே மாதரம்.
சொன்ன வண்ண கனவுகள் கருவுக்குள் வளர்த்தாய். சொன்ன மணல் பிறந்ததும் மலர்களை கொடுத்தாய். சொன்ன பக்கம் இந்த பக்கம் கடல்களை கொடுத்தாய். சொன்ன வனம் நட்டு வைக்க நதி கொடுத்தாய்.
உந்தன் மார்போடு அணைத்தாய், என்னை ஆளாக்கி வளர்த்தாய். சுகவாய் ஒன்று கொடுத்தாய், பச்சை வயல்களை நீ பரிசளித்தாய். பொங்கும் இன்பம் எங்கும் தந்தாய், கண்களும் நன்றியால் பொங்குதே. தாய் மண்ணே வணக்கம், தாய் மண்ணே வணக்கம், தாய் மண்ணே வணக்கம்,
So I think that was the album created with the art of beatbox. And now over to Teresa to start the program. May I now have Teresa Vijaja? Yeah, thank you, Teresa.
He was a popular musician who was nominated 4 times for Grammy, who is also an author, once said, "Some people think that music education is a privilege, but I think it is essential to being human." Good morning to everyone present in the meeting. On behalf of the pupil, I, Teresa of grade 11, welcome Mr. M.T. Aditya Srinivasan, musician and sound engineer. We welcome our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. N.M. Virayan, and our respected directors, Dr. Savita and Dr. Rajesh. We welcome the teachers, parents, and students who have joined us today. This is the 14th episode of the Pupil Career Talk series. The Pupil Savita Eco School will be an ideal preparatory ground for life, where every child transforms into a balanced and mature person with a sound body, mind, and spirit, ready to meet the challenges of the 21st century with zeal and enthusiasm. Just as the pupil of the eye is the gateway to life and enables us to see the good, the Pupil Savita Eco School is a gateway to knowledge that helps students channel their talents and energy to realize their vision for life. I call upon my classmate Yochna Rajan to talk a few words about Mr. Mervin and Mr. Aditya. Good morning, everyone. I'm Yochna Rajan from grade 11. Music is a world within itself. It's a language that we all understand. We also have another member of the music industry with us, Mr. Mervin Solomon, our music teacher, who has worked predominantly in the Tamil movie industry. I call upon Mervin sir to introduce us to the chief guest for today, Mr. M.T. Aditya Srinivas.
Hi guys, good morning all of you.
Hi.
Super happy to see you all through this meet, and I should thank the Pupil Savita Eco School for putting us all together in this lovely morning. And it's my great honor and pleasure to in introducing my friend M.T. Aditya Srinivasan. So he's an amazing musician. He's a percussionist who works with almost all the music directors in the industry. And he's also a sound engineer who passed out of the Berklee College of Music, United States of America. And we've been associated for a very long time. Our friendship goes back at least 10 to 15 years back. And he's also one of the amazing sound engineers in this country, where he's also specialized in mixing in the studio as well as live shows. So he works with Zahir Hussain sir, the great tabla maestro, and Shivamani sir, the great drummer and percussionist. So he's been around with all of them, and he's one of the leading sound engineers in this country. And also all our projects, the recent project which we worked with him was the movie Sultan, where it was very, very challenging for us because we recorded almost 25 to 30 street percussionists who used to play for the temple festival and the weddings, and people who did not have an experience of playing in the studio. We actually brought them from Vaniambadi, and about 30 people, they don't know how to use the headphones, and they cannot play on click. But MT Aditya is a specialist in just setting it up for them, and he made sure they feel so comfortable, and the song is come out great, and it is what it is today. And also for in the music of Anirudh Ravichander, I want to mention this, the song Maranamas. I know all of you have heard that. They bought the percussionists from Orissa. So those percussionists, they live in a place where there is no network absolutely. So you cannot call them, and they don't speak Hindi also. They speak only their language. So it was we had a very hard time in bringing down them, but we brought them down and we set it up in a big studio, and it was MT Aditya who recorded their percussion and set up the initial groove for the song Maranamas for Rajnikant sir starring Peta. So very, very happy to have you with us, Mr. Aditya.
Hello,
Super
everyone.
happy.
I'm so sorry. It was, I correctly the call got it. We wrapped. I was on another session. We just wrapped exactly now. Got delayed by about 20-25 minutes. And unfortunately, I couldn't do anything about it. Mervin, I'm sorry about that.
No
I hope
problem.
everything is well. I missed the last 2 minutes of what you were saying. So if there's something I'm excited about, I would really appreciate that.
No, I was just introducing you. Like I was just telling them, how we recorded Jay Sultan and Maranamas for Peta. Dealing with musicians who had the first time experience in the studio.
Absolutely.
And I was just telling them about our friendship and how we
Yes.
are happy to have you talking to our students.
I'm very, very, very glad to be here. Mervin, thank you for having me. To the students, really, really happy to be here. I wanted to check, should we be doing this more in English or Tamil, or what's the general?
You can go ahead in English, buddy. All good.
English? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's. I think we should start off, I guess, by talking about what exactly a sound engineer does, right? Now you started this call by listening to a lovely piece of music. You've got Mervin here, who's done possibly 4 or 5 of the biggest hits in the last 5 years, right? If you guys have seen everything from Guleba to Orasade to Jay Sultan and more, right? So these are songs that you enjoy, right? Songs that you love to dance to and love to hear. Now, for instance, what Mervin does is he takes the keyboard and he sings the song and he comes up with a melody. He comes up with the tune. He comes up with what instrumentation comes into the song. By instrumentation, I mean drums and guitar and keyboards and vocals and violin and other instruments, right? The sound engineer's job is how do you take the idea that Mervin has and help him combine all of these instruments to sound together as a song, right? You can have the drums playing separately, you can have the keyboards playing separately, you can have the vocals singing separately. But how do they sound good together, right? That's the role of the sound engineer. So to say that, it's to say the sound engineer is the role that helps a music director or a music composer take their song and help people hear it, right? And have people hear it in a way that they can enjoy it, right? You're not only talking about how you get the song together, you're also talking about how it will be heard on your headphones or heard on your cell phone or heard on YouTube or heard on Apple Music or wherever you're consuming your song. So the role of the sound engineer really is how taking what the idea that the music composer has and putting it together in such a way that everyday people and you listening to your song at home is able to hear it exactly as the music composer wants it to be heard, right? um, Now that that's being said, what do we do as a sound engineer? We are usually sitting in a studio. I don't know if you've had the chance to go and visit studios or more of Merv. Have you showed them some studios or some photos of studios and stuff in the previous ones?
Yes,
Right?
yes.
It's like this, let's say a controlled environment where you have acoustics, the room is done up. So for instance, in this case you can see I'm sitting in the living room in my house, right? So we've got bare walls and curtains and a couch and a window and whatever else. So if you probably stand outside the window or you stand here in the room with me, you will hear my voice bouncing off the walls. You'll hear the sound of a car going on the road. You will hear other things like that. But when you go into a studio, essentially, you're going to a sealed environment so that you are only hearing what you want to hear in terms of the instruments that are being played. So, as a sound engineer, I'm sitting in the studio and we're helping a music composer record and put all of his elements together so that it comes together as a musical form. You're also try and capture as much of the instrument and its tone and its character as possible, right? And um, that's that's the first part of it. The second part of it is how do we take all of those instruments and make them sound as they're supposed to sound in the song, right? And another side to the sound engineer is also about live composition, or sorry, live engineering, right? So if you go to a concert in a venue, how does the sound come from the stage to the speakers and how are you able to hear it in the audience, right? That's another exciting part of being a sound engineer, because you have the ability to make the audience enjoy an evening, right? You have the ability to make to make people happy by getting a what the music's happening on stage. It's your work that's enabling people to hear it. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of travel. We can tell you stories about trips to Malaysia with Mervin and Vivek, and great travel, great stories, a lot of fun, a lot of sleepless nights. As you can tell, I haven't slept since last night. We've been doing an all night recording session because we're working with musicians who are in America right now, right? And so if you're looking for alternate careers, I think sound engineering can be a lot of fun, especially if you enjoy music, but you also like getting into technology, right? I'm a tabla player myself, but I love fiddling around with computers. I love fiddling around with microphones. I love to see, what something interesting I can do, what kind of new sound I can capture, etc. And therefore, it's a lot of fun and enables me to keep in touch with both technology and sound, and as well as music, right? So I guess I can go on, but I feel like if I keep talking now, people are going to get bored. So let's see if you have any questions, and maybe we can make this more interactive about what we can do, rather than just let it be just me speaking. So I guess after introduction, let's just go from there.
Okay, children, so you can start asking your questions or typing it out on the chat box so that we can ask Aditya.
Okay, so I think there's a question from Mervin now about. Oh, sorry, is there a question from a student?
It is Sri Jayani
Okay.
who has asked. So, what would you regard as the most challenging part of sound engineering?
Yeah, the most challenging part of sound engineering. Oh, that's a tough question. It's a great question, but a really tough question. There's a lot of things. It's I would say, you are working, with when you have when you have multiple musicians or multiple ideas that come together. Everyone wants their idea to be the one that's presented, right? But you are going to be picking and choosing what the public is going to hear or what everyone else is going to hear. So it's usually a lot of people jumping and you saying, no, you keep the guitar louder, or you keep the vocal louder, or you keep the keyboard louder. And how do you balance that with what actually the song needs, or that particular situation needs? I think that might be one of the most challenging aspects. The other is definitely the long hours. It's a lot of fun. Every moment of being a sound engineer is really really a lot of fun, a lot of excitement. But it also means like you are you'll finish a concert at midnight, and then you're catching a flight at 6 a.m. to come back to your studio and work on the next day. It's crazy fun. It's a lot of stories that you get from being on the road that you can share, but it's also a lot of long hours. I hope that answers the question.
So approximately, Diya Rajan, approximately how long will it take to make one song or one full album?
Okay. Well, I think we can share a couple of interesting stories on that front. We are hopefully on Monday going to be releasing an album that we have worked on for, I'd say, about 3 or 4 months, right? Or maybe since February. And that's like a pretty common time. So you worked on an album that has 6 songs with multiple musicians that we've been working on for about 3 or 4 months, which is pretty normal. About a week ago, we released an album, or the first song from an album. And we started recording that song in 2017. So that one has taken 4 years to come out, which can be pretty fun. But I can also tell you the story. Mervin and I both a part of this. This is for Anirudh Ravichander, where suddenly we had to make a lot of work happen in a very short amount of time for a movie. I'm not sure I can talk about which movie it was, but there was one point where we had to finish maybe about 45 minutes of music left for a movie in a day. So there were literally in one day across the city in Chennai were booked. Mervyn was probably in 10 of them for at different points of the day. I was in about 10 of them for different points in the day, where you were trying to make this happen as quickly as possible because you have to meet a deadline because the movie is going to release and you need the music for the movie to release. So I guess there is no typical answer. It's just you work on it as much as you can till the moment you have to release. And oftentimes with when you're being a creative person, maybe nobody better to tell you about that than Mervyn. Is you will have 6 months to make a song, and then for 5 months you'll keep putting down ideas and ideas, and you'll have a lot of ideas that come together. And then 1 week before the song releases, you'll suddenly think, no, I want to do something entirely new. And you will make a fresh song, and you will suddenly have no time to put it together, but you will run in the last minute and bring the song out. So timelines and whatever else are usually wildly different, but it's always fun. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's really exciting and thrilling to work in such timelines also. So there is one question from Samiksha. I think lot of questions coming up actually. Okay. How did you start your interest in music? What are your qualifications in the course of what should you be doing in the course of your music?
Okay. I started with learning tabla and vocals and piano when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. And I guess it's just typical. It started with my mother just wanting me to learn some music, and then I really enjoyed playing the tabla. And for many years, I've been going to Bombay. I've been studying with my guru in Bombay, and in fact, the reason that I was even 5-10 minutes late is because my guru was doing today is Guru Purnima, which is an auspicious day for learning and to be with your guru. And we were all with our guru and his guru, and talking about what this day is, learning some things. And I was remote controlling a computer of a tabla player sitting in California, right? And of a tabla player sitting in Bombay, and making sure that they sounded good as they were talking to 50 other people. So that's what I was doing right now.
I think you can just tell the names, man.
Okay, it was for Ustad Zakir Hussain. If you've heard of him, uh, probably the most important tabla player in all time, and it's an extremely privileged morning for me because I've been since 5 a.m. to start Guru Purnima and to start as a tabla player and sound engineer, working with the legend that he is it was a special morning for me. So yeah. So from tabla, I started. We were playing tabla, and then I went to Anna University Gindi. I did media studies and marketing, but in my case, I really did the degree only to do a degree. I spent most of my college days with Mervyn and Vivek and Leon and everyone else running around in our band called Zincs, going and playing every show that we could. And from there, I applied to the Berklee College of Music. The Berklee College of Music has master's programs in Spain, as well as now in New York. I did this. I went to the Spain campus where I did a master's in music performance with a concentration in production. What that means is I learned how to play Latin percussion. I worked on jazz rhythms and jazz harmonies and learning how their approach to things are. At the same time, I spent a lot of time in the studios when I was at Berklee. Uh, every waking moment was at a studio, and that's how I got interested in becoming a sound engineer, right? And from there, I've come back to India. I worked in a few studios before just opening my own studio last year. Hopefully, the students can come and visit at some point. Um, and uh, and yeah, I don't think at any point I ever decided that I will be a sound engineer or decided I'll be a musician in life. I just went along to do what I'm passionate about, and what I enjoy doing. Really, I don't think, in my case, I don't think I made a conscious decision to say I will become a professional musician or I will become a professional sound engineer. I went with my passion and just made sure I was enjoying what I was doing at every moment. That was what was important to me.
Um, I just
Yeah, is there
like
anybody asking
two
a question?
go hand. Yes, ma'am.
Can you
It's
please
just
switch on your video and you can ask the question?
Am I visible?
Yes.
Yes, Anshika. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So both of my questions go hand in hand. So my first question, I think I put in the chat. The first question was, do sound engineering and producing go hand in hand, or are they similar?
That's a great question. They are, I guess, at some level, I have to say they do go hand in hand. But also, in terms of how you consider it, it would be two separate parts of making a song, right? So when you're producing a song, you have to keep the sound of the song in mind. So in a sense, when you are producing, you are also somewhat being a sound engineer. So when you choose what guitar you are playing, or who sings the song, or how you record them, you definitely are considering the sound of the song. And when you're being a sound engineer and you're treating a song, you're also thinking about, wait, why did he use this instrument here? Is there a reason? Why has he produced this song this way? What are the elements that work? So yes, they do go hand in hand. And the best sound engineers are great music producers, and the best music producers are great sound engineers. So I think that would be how I answer that question. But great question.
Yeah. So my second question was, like the in the recent songs that you have seen or helped make, are there any sounds that you've noticed are very common, like certain percussions or snares that are very often used in songs?
Well, if you are in Chennai and you've enjoyed your kuttu parties, you know that the tappatam and the parai and the pambai and all of these instruments are very common to the sound. You of course have your kick drum and your snare. You feel the beat in an electronic song. Guitars and string instruments are pretty common. But you'll also, I think I would like to twist that question and talk about unusual things that you might encounter when you listen to a song. How many of you here have heard of the Beatles? Okay, I can't see everybody's video, but I'm going to hope that a lot of you have heard of the Beatles. If you haven't, you should go back and listen to the Beatles, and listen, maybe if you can, to this song called Blackbird, which is a lovely, famous song by the Beatles. And if you actually hear what they're doing, um, when you hear Paul McCartney and John Lennon perform the song, you will hear this little tapping noise, right? You should, when you listen to it, you'll hear it. And what that tapping noise actually is Paul McCartney tapping his heeled shoe on the wood of the studio while hearing the metronome come out of the studio speakers. It's a combination of those two sounds. But that particular take, it was a rehearsal. It was a recording, a rehearsal recording. It wasn't the actual performance, but they thought it sounded so good that they released it. So oftentimes you find interesting little things that come out in a song, and there are nice little anecdotes that come from that. Or there is a this is a story that I was told. I don't know if it's fully accurate. I wasn't there, but there is a, you've heard Jana Gana Mana by A.R. Rahman, right, from Yuva. There's a sound of that glass breaking. From what I remember of Sridhar sir, who was probably the godfather of sound engineers for all of us young Indians. If you've heard a Rahman song from anywhere in the entire 1990s and through the 2000s, the reason it sounded so good was also because of Mr. H. Sridhar, who is an absolute legend, and you would do good to look him up. And so I remember once Sridhar sir saying that sound of the glass breaking was literally someone pushing over a glass jug in the studio, and they just managed to record it. And then they decided to cut it up and use it in the song.
Yes, there's like a producer named Phineas. He's also the producer for Billie Eilish and for many other singers that he does occasionally. He doesn't he believes that producing has become so accessible to a lot of people, and a lot of studios are like free, like the online studios are free. So the sound library is like really like staple. So like one of Billie Eilish's famous song, Bad Guy, the beat to that song was actually, if you go to Australia and you're about to cross the street, you have to press a button so that you can stop and like tell the other cars. And that beat was used, the beat, they recorded it, slowed it down, added the bass, and that was the basic beat of used in Bad Guy.
Okay, sorry, I'm back. Sorry about that. If you want to know another story, have you heard "Rolling in the Deep" by Adele? As I hope some people
Yes.
have heard it. She has a producer called Paul Epworth. Okay, and he built a studio out of a church in England. And the drum beat that you hear in that song is Adele jumping on the wooden steps in the church. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting stories of unusual sounds that make their way through the songs. I'm sure Mervyn can also tell you some stories of random samples and tones that he's used in his songs over the years. So you should probably pick his brain about that too at some point.
I think all of them know that I actually coughed in between Varasada song, and I just kept it like that in the song. So just before that, I just did and I just sang it off because it was just a rough take. But then later it sounded like, oh, okay, like you generally cough when you want to get somebody's attention, right? If you're in a room or you want to say something, you do that. So I just had that in mind and I just kept it off in the whole song. And I was so happy to see that a lot of people are doing, Instagram reels for that coughing part, especially, and sending it to me and tagging me. So it was quite funny. But yeah, but sometimes, it's just sounds in the right place which works. I believe in that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Edilovia has got some question. Edilovia, would you want to come online and ask your question, Edilovia?
Okay, I'll read out her question.
Yes,
How do you
please.
think classical instruments such as viola or contrabassoon are engineered to sound different from the other commonly known instruments in a live orchestra?
Oh wow, interesting, extremely tough question. Let me answer it this way: the great sound recordings come from great musical arrangements, right? So get an instrument really stick out in a mix, really have their tonality and their character in a mix, is that you make sure that you write the music for them in such a way that you bring the best out of the instrument, right? If you write it in such a way that it's in the same range as the violin or same range as other instruments, this instrument will get lost in the mix, right? So the final sound engineer and the sound recordist are also dependent on the arrangement of the song being very, very nicely done. So I think even though you can talk about how you place a mic or how you place put different elements in to make something sound good in a song, the most important thing is how the song is arranged and what's the musicality of the song.
Super. There's another amazing question from Karen. Okay, two questions she has asked. How to get into the music industries of cinemas, number one. Number two, what is the difference between remake, remix, and remastered?
Easier one
Too good.
first.
Yeah.
Merv, you got to help me with this. Okay, so remake is I guess a cover song when you are, so you, if you want to do your own version of Arasada or Jai Sultan, or you can do an acoustic cover of Jai Sultan, might be interesting. Now then you're for a remake. If you're doing a remix, it's you are taking sounds and combinations of things that were in the song, and then you are changing the sound of it, or maybe changing the character of it by adding your own elements, or morphing it, or doing different interesting things with it. A remaster is when you take a song and you are maybe working on the overall tonality of the song, maybe working on how it sounds overall and putting it out. A very interesting way to look at what remastering is there's this engineer called Srijesh Nair. Srijesh Nair was Sridhar sir, Sridhar sir's assistant at one point. What he's doing now is a remastering project of A.R. Rahman sir's songs. So if you go look up the A.R. Rahman remasters on YouTube, you will hear extremely high definition remastered versions of Sridhar sir's mixes, which are very, 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 very nicely done. So that's something you can check out in terms of a remaster. Now, the
Okay.
other get into the music industry, you know, especially with the film world, it's a very, very, very tough one. There are journeys sometimes it's luck. You find yourself in the right place at the right time. Sometimes it's always that your hard work gets noticed. You've worked hard. You go from assisting someone in a studio by wrapping their cables, cleaning the studio, to saying, oh Vicky, can I come and just play one chord on this song, or can I do one step later, or you are playing in a band at wedding halls, or you're singing in a wedding hall and someone notices your talent and says, why don't you come and work for me, or I know this music director. But more than me talking about this, there's a man sitting there called Mervin, who has, I know the kind of difficulties in the journey that he's undergone to be where he is today. The amount of hard work and just doing it again and again for so many people before he could do it for himself. That's a question that really has to go to him.
So to be very, very frank, to get into the film industry is actually easier in today's time when you compare it with 10 years back, but the competition is 10x more tougher than what it was like 10 years back. So you had like a handful of composers composing music for films before 10 or 15 years, but now everybody with a laptop and a mic, just from their bedroom, they can just make music. I know people who are releasing music albums and singles in Spotify just directly right out of their bedroom. So the only thing today is you're only as good as your last song. So if your last project is a hit, you stay there. If that is not, then again you have to. So it is very, very hard to find the first chance, but it is even more harder to to stay on the run always. So you just have to always keep updating. And with the music and sound industry, there's a new software, there's a new plugin which releases every single day. So you need to know what's happening in the industry. There are great composers who we used to listen to when we were kids, but today their songs are not working just because they did not adapt to the new the soundscape and the new technology which has evolved. So you just have to keep yourself updated. So that's one viewpoint of it.
Absolutely.
I'm
Yes,
happy.
sir.
I'm actually happy. I'm getting like superb questions from our students. This is like way beyond what we expected actually.
Well, I can share a story that I heard about keeping yourself updated. There is this flute player called Ashwin Srinivasan in Bombay, and this is a story from Ashwin, and he plays and tours with A.R. Rahman sir. So he said, he'd always tell me every time there's a new piece of gear out, Rahman sir will have it before it becomes available to the public. He would have tried it for 15 days, made sure he's explored every tone, every possibility with it before anybody else can do it. Because even today, he wants to be relevant and ahead of everything, right? It's such an inspiring way to look at things. But he said this one time, I had a friend, and they were releasing this new synth or a new keyboard, and it was going to be available a week later. But he said, I had a friend who worked at the company, and he gave me an advance piece, and he said, I was on stage, and just to show off, thinking that I'll show Rahman sir that I got it before him, I took it and I kept it on stage, and I was just fooling around with it, just hoping I'll catch his eye, that he'll suddenly see it, he'll get interested, he'll come and see what I'm doing. He said for 4 hours nothing happened, and then Rahman sir walked up to him and said, "What man? You got a new synth? Huh? I got 3 of these. I finished 3 songs with it," and he walked away. So it's that you think that you're doing something cool, but you've got to stay updated. Exactly what Mervin was saying. And if you see Rahman sir, he's the prime example of that. Absolute prime example of that.
Super. And one more amazing question from Raghavashini. Raghavashini is a grade 8 pianist. So she's an amazing musician herself. She wants to know about how to approach Berkeley University and what is the eligibility.
Okay. I'll tell you the cool thing about Berkeley is that it's really an open environment, right? It's everybody can go there, irrespective of what kind of music you play, where you come from. It's about what you're going to bring to the table there. So apply. It's a simple process. I don't even think you need the SATs anymore. That's something you should verify. But usually when you go to an American undergrad college, you need to do your SATs. And I'm going to assume that we're going to talk about undergrad here rather than graduate or master's programs, because it's all school students. So I'll talk about the undergrad program. There are a few ways and methods that you can think of. One is I'm not sure if you have to do your SATs anymore or not. You can look that up on their website, or you can write to them and they'll respond. Once you When you apply, you'll get called for an audition and an interview. The audition and interview is only to look at your basic musical skill and at what level you're at, but it's also to look at how you can contribute to the environment when you go to Berkeley, right? What kind of interesting ideas you bring, and what cool things you want to do, right? And there is no idea that cannot be explored. So keep your ideas brimming and ready, and keep thinking of cool things that you want to do with your music. And I think that's an important approach. You should also be looking at recommendation letters. I don't know if it's too early in your schooling careers to talk about this, but the people that have taught you, say Mervyn, or the teachers in your school, or people that have seen you perform, and whatever else, these are important connections to have, because when you go to Berkeley will be looking for someone who can write to them and tell them how good you are at what you do. And that's very important. So make sure that you have people in your life that can give you a good recommendation to say, hey, this is a really good student, this is a really talented student, and you should take them as a student at Berkeley, right? Now, let's also talk about what happens when you get admitted. I come from a not very affluent background, which means I could not afford to go to Berkeley undergrad, right? Nor could I afford to go to Berkeley Masters myself. What we did need was scholarships, right? And I will say this: Berkeley is not a cheap college to go to, but they do have a tremendous amount of scholarships on offer, right? So the scholarship application is very important. Um, I will say this: Berkeley is an expensive school to go to, and they have a high admittance rate, right? Because it's usually only interested musicians that want to apply to go there, and you're not fond of telling somebody that we don't want you or anything. They want to bring as many musicians as possible over to the campus, but they recognize good talent by giving out good scholarships, right? So you should keep that scholarship application in mind. The other thing you can think about is that even with a scholarship, America is not cheap, right? So Berkeley has given you different access methods. So there are what you call Berkeley International Network schools, right? These Berkeley International Network schools are about 23 or 24 around the world. Ones that are near you are Global Music Institute in Delhi, and I think it's called ICM in Malaysia, right? Now, what happens with these schools is you can spend 2 years, the first 2 years of your undergrad at GMI or at ICM, where it's significantly cheaper, yet a Berkeley authorized education, right? And then you can transfer those credits to go and continue the remaining part of your education in Boston, right? So it's another way to look at affordability and possibilities in terms of what you can do to get to a college like this, right? I hope that helps.
I think Vinaya asked the same thing. Vinaya, we just answered your question, and there are a lot of other questions coming up as well. Okay, you told us that you worked for a song since 2017 and you finished recently. Wouldn't you get bored hearing the same song so many times?
Let me put it this way: we got bored of the song, and every time we got bored of it, we changed it, which is why it took 4 years for it to come out. I hope that answers the question. Every time we felt that the song wasn't interesting enough, we did try to do something about it. That would be it.
Yeah. For me, always till the just before, like if I have an opportunity to change something in the song, 5 minutes before it's releasing, I will still do it. Because once it's released, you cannot go back and do anything about it. So you still have the time to do it till then. But that in today's date, you at least have to send the masters before a week. So you have to finish the song and send it to Spotify, YouTube, and everything before a week for the song to be simultaneously released in all the platforms at the same time. So
Absolutely.
that everybody knows that this song is coming up. Whoever is in Spotify, they'll also get a new song notification. So, but I would change it till the last minute. I remember for Guleba, I was working with Prabhudeva sir, and the shooting was happening. So he's kind of a person who will ask for the song at least 30 days in advance. I asked him, sir, why do you want the song 30 days before? 3 days before the shoot, we give, that's enough. He was saying, no, I want to practice dancing, it seems. So he rehearses himself before he performs on a song for 30 days. So that is why he is who he is today. So what happened? We finished the lyrics and everything for Guleba. We were not, me and Vivek, we were not happy with the second half of the song. The Mama Sita, that portion was not there then. It was something else then. So the shooting was at 9 o'clock in Chennai. So I remember us, just leaving studio at 8:35. Right before fixing the last few words of the song, we took an out, and suddenly we rushed to the spot and told, sir, we changed the lyrics. This is it now, and so yeah, we always keep but you don't get bored. You don't get bored. The problem is, no, if you get bored of your own song, you know how to fix it before the release. So that is the idea. So you can listen to it as many times as you want, but after it released, no, then only I get bored actually. So when Orasada and Gulai Banal released, it was everywhere. You get into a restaurant, they play your song. The people are tagging you randomly. After a point, you get like, oh my god, this song. Okay, enough. Play some other song. No, please. It's like you feel shy that people are actually keeping on playing your song.
At my wedding, my family was dancing with Marvin, and he was in his head.
I know.
But I
So,
have another story about Mervyn actually. About what is it? A month ago, about 2 days before the song release, they changed the singer.
I know. I know. So we recorded the previous singer's voice also in Aditya Studio only, Offbeat Studios in Chennai. We actually sent it to Spotify. We sent it to all the platforms available, and suddenly the producer wanted to change the singer, and we were like, "Sir, the song is already done, but we have to do what is needed for the movie." There are other strings attached to it, and like even if a singer is singing, and if somebody bigger than him coming in and singing the song, that will mean a lot to them in terms of the value of the movie. So we had to change it. So it was like 6 o'clock, the song is supposed to be released, and MT and Vivek are in his Offbeat Studios. I'm here. They have to send it to me, and I have to check it up in my computer and upload it. So it was like
Yeah,
haywire. But once the song is released, then it's like super fun. Okay, what do you think about female participation in sound engineering?
I think it's very important. I think, unfortunately, that it's grossly underrepresented. I think there are one of my favorite sound engineers, actually, two of my favorite sound engineers are women. Look up the name Susan Rogers, who was Prince's engineer, if you've heard of Prince. Susan Rogers is also a Berkeley faculty and one of the best engineers I've ever come across. You can also look up this lady called Sylvia Massey. Sylvia Massey is also a phenomenal hard rock sound engineer. And yeah, there's great sound engineers, women, great women sound engineers, but unfortunately underrepresented. I guess at some level it has to do with just the kind of hours and the kind of stigmas that were there. But I think we're today in a world where that has to change, and I think it will.
Okay, has your audience ever influenced the type of music you put out?
Oh yes, all the time. Uh, I wish it wasn't so, but I think all the time. Uh, Merv?
Yeah, I agree, buddy. So
so
end of
how
the day,
many
you
albums? Sorry, sorry.
no
Please
carry
go
on,
ahead. Go ahead.
carry on, man.
Okay. So, how many albums have you completed till date? Is a question for you.
Oh boy, I have no idea. I
Any musicians or a composer wouldn't have had a track of it, in numbers. But when it's funny when somebody asks us, like, you have to come as a guest and can you send your right? That time only we will also go into Google and type. So we don't have any particular write up. It's actually pretty embarrassing to write about yourself. So
Mervyn asked me to write a write up about myself for this one. I refused to send it to him because I didn't know what to write. I just said no.
I know.
Manage.
No, because we would be happy to, speak about you to all the children and get to know you more. So that's why we ask you for a write up about yourself. And Mervyn took, upon himself. He said, "No, I will introduce." So it's better that I can speak more about Aditya. Thank you
know.
so much for that, Mervyn.
Anytime, ma'am. Ma'am, that is because Adi never sent it, ma'am. So I was just behind him and he just says, "Oh, buddy, how will I tell about myself?" You only have to tell about yourself now. You are the guest here and our students will be like super happy because I think this is the first time we are having an insight into the world of sound, and that is through you, Adi. So it's a pleasure actually. And I'm really surprised by the number of questions.
Yes.
Any particular age to music industries? No particular age is what I would say. Adi?
Absolutely no chance. Come when you're 3 years old. If you're good, come and enjoy yourself. Just
That's all.
so I had a classmate at Berkeley when I did my masters who was 55. And why not? Just why not?
So when you say that your classmate was 55, so is there any a particular age to enter Berkeley? Like, is there minimum age to enter?
In fact, I was just talking to a friend yesterday. His name is Abhijit Nath. He went to IIT, went to IIM, worked in the finance industry for 10 years, and then went back to Berkeley and did his undergrad, bachelor's in songwriting. And he's back in Bangalore and enjoying himself. There's go when you please, and I think that's the interesting thing about Berkeley. You'll find so many varieties, so many different people from different walks of life. I had 22 people in my master's class, and we were 15 nationalities. I like to go around and say I have a friend who's from the Easter Islands. I probably hadn't heard of it as a country until I met him. But I think I like to say that I have a friend from the Easter Islands. It's
So what are the different options in a music career is a question. So
Okay, great question. Okay, let me not talk about this in terms of what all is there, but let me give you some examples of what you can do. One is you can go the Mervyn route where he arranged and programmed songs for many years, and then he branched out into doing his own songs, right? And then he's doing songs for movies. There's many people like him who've also done songs for ads and jingles and everything that you see on TV, right? There are people who've composed theme songs and only do the background score of movies and don't do the songs. There is, of course, the role of being a sound engineer. You can be in the studio. You can also be a live sound engineer where you tour with a band, right? There is also the option to be the sound engineer at radio stations or at TV channels and possibilities like that. And these are your typical roles that you can do in the sound industry. But now we can talk about some interesting ones. I have a friend who works at a company called DPA. DPA is a company that's making microphones, right? So if you are into engineering and technology and you get to go and work and build technology for music, but you make keyboards, you make drum kits, if you're a good acoustician, you can make interesting sounding rooms. You can be an architect and get involved in the music industry because you can design rooms for people, right? There are so many opportunities to explore. Architectural firms look for sound engineers and acousticians so that they can employ them to help them design the sound of the buildings that they construct. I know of somebody from Berkeley who was hired at Tesla. You've heard of the car company Tesla, because they're an electric car company and the engines don't make a sound, but they wanted someone to design the sound of their car in sports mode. So when the car goes to sports mode, it's not the sound of the engine, but it's actually a sound that's been designed that the car plays back through its speakers, so you feel like you're revving the car, right? There's the company DPA makes microphones, and there's an article about it. Maybe I'll share it with Marvin about how do you make a microphone work in space. You're sending a rocket out. You're sending a spaceship to Mars. You need to capture the sound. You need to capture so many things. You need to think about vacuum and the high pressures of the atmosphere and how to accurately capture the sound, right? So there are people who've designed those microphones. So there's a possibilities are endless, and it doesn't necessarily have to do only with making music. There are so many interesting things that you can do with sound. Think about it. Someone designed the microphone in an iPhone. Someone decided that the iPhone would sound a particular way, and I'll bet you 9 times out of 10 that that was a sound engineer. I even have a friend who's a musician, who's a keyboardist, and he spends a lot of his time designing single sounds. So what happens when you get an SMS? What happens when you get a call? If it's like a ting, and you notice the ting in an iPhone is different from the ting in a Samsung. It's different the ting in a Nokia because there's some sound engineer working on it over there. So there's just possibilities are endless.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think that answers the question. And we have, yeah, Akshaya has a question. May I ask? Please, Akshaya, you can go ahead, ask.
Good morning, sir. This is Akshaya of class 8. Sir, is it possible to concentrate on something else while listening to music?
Yes. That's a great question, Akshaya. I think I don't know, Merv, I don't know if this was the case with you, but I remember that when I had to study for math exams, we used to blast Metallica and Dream Theater. When you had to, when we were playing cricket matches, we usually had some earphones on, we were listening to some songs. Sometimes music helps you focus. You will hear stories of great sports teams that sometimes they'll play a particular song in the bus on the way to the stadium so that they can all sing it together and the team energy builds, and they come together and go. You can even hear there's a story from Dhoni in an interview where he said he'll never forget, of all the moments in his life, what he'll never forget was 2011 when we won the World Cup. The whole of the Wankhede Stadium was chanting Vande Mataram. He said that inspired me so much. It helped me focus so much that to win the game. So I think there's absolutely so much that music can help you focus and bring together. So if it helps you while you're doing something else, why not?
Sir, but can't it be distractive at sometimes? Like if you know the song, so you will sing the lyrics instead of doing the work. Right?
No, it actually differs from person to person. In my case, so see, if you can drive a car listening to music, it means you can listen to music and focus on something else as well. Only thing is you just have to get trained to it probably. Okay, Akshaya, then do one thing, listen to songs which you already don't know. Then that might help.
Yes, sir.
But you doing something there, I always like to tell every student that I come across is every day of your life, it takes 5 minutes. Listen to a song that you've never heard before, right? Listen to new music. Just don't go and listen to composers or songs that you know. One song every day. I think 5 minutes of your life. Pay attention to some song that you've never heard before from anywhere in the world, Africa, Antarctica, wherever, Russia, whatever. But listen to one new song from something or someone that you've not heard before, and you can go through your entire life and keep finding new people. That's the amount of music that's out there. But I think it's a great way for music to get out there and for you to open your tastes. Listen to one song that you've never heard before.
Yes,
Super.
sir. Sir,
Super.
also
Next.
I have another doubt, sir. Sir, do you think you could achieve more as a musician? If yes, how do you do so, sir?
Can you repeat that question, Akshay? I lost you.
So, how do you get better as a musician? Is there anything to be better at in music?
Okay, I was just listening to Ustad Zakir Hussain speak, and he's 70 years old. Okay, he's 70 years old, and today there was a student in his class who came up with a new idea and he made the whole class learn it. And he said, "This is something new for me to learn." And he said, "I want to go and practice this now." So at 70 years, even when you're the king of the world and you've done everything and you've defined a whole instrument, you are still learning and you're still trying to make yourself better. So I think at every stage of our life, especially as musicians, we never get satisfied with what we do. We always want to be better. We always want to do the next best thing or improve ourselves in some way. Work on some part of our music that we feel that we're lacking. We're always working. We're always working. Mervyn will want to improve the sound and music production of his songs with every album that he does, right? He's absolutely got it spot on. He's got hit songs, but he'll want his next song to be better than the previous one, right? So you're always
Yes.
working to Merv?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Is
Super.
learning Carnatic vocal useful for going into pop industry? Is another question.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely useful. And Tarun has a question. If there is a situation where we should do a song within 24 hours, is it possible to do it? If yes, how much time will it take and it wouldn't get you bored working on it for a long time?
Uh, you have to answer that, Damo. It can't be me.
Okay. So
What was
Tarun,
it? Minute?
Tarun, any song, okay, for example, Guleba was done in 20 minutes of time. The idea and the riff, all that was done in 20 minutes of time. It is only for the lyrics that we took a lot of time, to achieve that. So if there is a condition where you should do a song in 24 hours, 100% we can do a song in 24 hours. And is it definitely possible? How much time it would take and you wouldn't get bored working on it for a long time? So I would, my way of going about it will be, I will ask what time is the release of the song. So if it is 10 o'clock, then I will be working till 9:45 and give them the song. So the more time you spend with the song, the more you grow with the song is when where it actually works and where it doesn't works. So like any composer, when he makes a song, he'll just keep listening to it when he's driving, and new ideas just pop up. So for me, if I'm listening to my own song and new idea pops up, I'll just open my voice recorder, record that idea, or sing it na 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 like that, and then I'll go back to the studio, put it on keyboard, and just do it off like that. So it is possible to do a song even in 1 hour, and we can spend as much time with it and release it, but provided by which depends on the deadline basically. So if you have time, definitely spend more time with it. If you don't, do your best work and just put it out.
Okay, sir.
Thank you so much for answering this question, Mervyn. Yeah, children, do you have any other question? So
I have another question.
yes, please.
So, where do you get your inspiration to create the different kind of musics from?
Merv, you want to take that first? I can answer.
Okay, so anything you hear is an inspiration. Like any person who meets you, or any kid who is singing or humming a different tune, I get inspired a lot by kids. So basically, all my new songs, I generally play it to the standard 1 to 5 in our school. So if they vibe with that, the song is hit. That has worked every time for me. or you can just look at the face. If you play it to them and they'll be like, then there's something has to be done to that song.
I'll share a story that was given to me. I think it best describes inspiration for me. There's a piano player called Danilo Perez, and you must look him up. Danilo Perez, and there's a famous saxophonist called Wayne Shorter, right? Wayne Shorter they played. They played with a great trumpeter called Miles Davis, and so these guys, Wayne and Danilo, today are some of the most important jazz musicians in the world. Okay, and so this is Danilo telling me a story. He said it was early days when he was playing with Wayne Shorter's quartet, and they were playing in this beautiful farm land outside somewhere in rural America. And they were looking for something. They were looking to improvise on stage, and they were looking for ideas, but it wasn't coming. It wasn't happening. It wasn't coming together. And Danilo was like, I was struggling. I didn't know what I had to play next. I didn't know where to go, and the band was, kind of sagging on stage. And he said Wayne had his back to the audience, and he was staring at the back wall of the stage, right? Not looking at anyone, just looking for inspiration. And he said, I don't know what it was, but behind the audience, where Wayne couldn't see, he saw these horses run on the track, right? Or horses run across a field. And he played something based on what he saw of those horses. And he says, Wayne just turned around, jumped up, and went, "Whoa, horses!" And they started playing the show, and that's it. Then, and like he's saying, it just took off from there. So sometimes it's the simplest, silliest thing that can give you so much inspiration to take you forward. It could be a clock ticking, it could be some random guy screaming on the street, it could be a cow that banged into a car at some opportune moment. There's so many weird things that give you such great ideas.
Thank you, Dolly ma'am. Any other questions?
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sorry, ma'am, we are not audible. Okay,
Vinaya
is there
has
some?
posted a question. What is the advice you will give people who wants to go into the music career?
Sorry?
What is the best advice you will give people who want to go into music? That is, those who want to choose music as a career. What is the advice that you have? That is what Vinaya has asked.
I don't know. Just go with it, have fun, and just make sure you're enjoying yourself at every moment. Nothing else matters. Just go ahead and enjoy yourself at every moment, and work hard on your music, yes, but just keep enjoying. If you're not enjoying the music, it's not worth it. So just keep enjoying the music that you make, and you'll be fine.
And just make sure, like, you always have something more to learn. You should always have that at the back of your head. So one song might hit 100 million, and you can think, yeah, this is it, I've made it. No, it was never like that. So just make sure your next project, or this is not just for music, for anything, just make sure the next best thing what you're doing should be the best, and it should be 100% better than what you've already achieved. So you should always have that at the back of your head. So that is the advice I'll give for people who are getting into music career.
And I would also like both of you to tell them how important it is for them to understand that just as much as success is an important part, failure also should be accepted gracefully. Because, expecting for instantaneous results may not continue to be with us for long. So they shouldn't give up. That's very important. I think two of them, what they spoke, would have made it very clear to all of you. So if they can hear from you, it makes a lot of difference.
To me, if all the songs I make are super hits, then I'll probably stop thinking about doing something new. Like if every song I make is hitting 100 million, and all of them are just raving about that song, I won't. Why will I think of doing something new, or think of some idea which I didn't do before? I know what is working, so what I would do is I'll just keep on doing the same thing, because already people are loving it. So only when one song is less appreciated when compared to the other, you will have the time and the thought to think what went wrong, or what could have been better, in other words. So you should always whether it is a success or not much success, I wouldn't say failure, like not much success, it shouldn't affect you already. So till you have, for example, take song making, till you make the song, you have the time in your hands and you can do the best. But once it is out, you cannot go back and do anything about it. And every song has a destiny, like every project of yours has a destiny. So for how much hard work you put into it, for how much hours you spend to it, it will definitely be rewarded. If not, do the next one even better, and 100% you will be rewarded then. That's it.
Important to understand that for every hit song that Merv has, there's been 10 songs that didn't work before it, you know? And the amount of effort that goes into those songs is possibly even more than what went out into the hit sometimes, you know? But you don't let it bog you down. You see it as a challenge and something to learn from, and go forward with that attitude of saying, we do it till we get it right. And
Yeah.
and failure is not a big deal. It's not about everyone fails. Everyone makes mistakes. You learn from it. You pick yourself up and you go out and charge the mountain, I guess. Uh, and that's how you get through it. And that's what always works. Publicly, you only always see the successes. It's very rarely that you see the failures publicly, right? But you have to remember that there's so many failures that happen in order for that one success to happen, and that's so important to remember. So just keep at it.
Thank you. I think there is a question from Harshada. How do you get ideas for each song, and on which instrument to use, and how the song should be put together?
Adi?
uh, you know, that's one of those things that just comes with your taste, with your intuition, and your musical perspective. I promise you, you'll sing a melody now, and I hear tabla on it, and he'll hear keyboard on it. You know, or I will hear cajon on it, and he'll hear tar zapata on it. You know, it could go any way, or I would hear some like Latin percussion, but he'll be hearing like a Gregorian chant on it. You know, you don't know. It's about where you come from, how you perceive things. It's the music that you enjoy, the music that you've been exposed to, and it's your individuality, it's your idea. So I don't think there's a single answer to it, but I would say the closest answer I can think of is intuition. Mark?
Yeah. See, for me, what I agree with what Adi said, but to me, when I compose for films, the first insight comes from the director while he narrates to you, where the song is happening, and so deciding upon that, I go with the instruments, the nativity of the film. If the film is happening in New York, you need to, when somebody's showing New York, you need to treat it in such a way that the people who are watching it feel they are in New York, because and also you decide what the audience should feel, even though while looking at something else on screen. Okay, for example, have this, like if you're looking at London Bridge and there's a nice, beautiful orchestra playing at the background, you will feel as if you're in the London Bridge. Okay, but for example, take Jagame Tandram, where the movie was entirely shot in London. They're showing the streets of London, but the Indian percussions are playing, which means he stays with the character of the film. So I take my things out of my director's vision, and especially when you're working for a film, you have to work with the director's vision.
Actually, it was great listening to both of you on a Guru Purnima day. I think a lot of children here and a lot of us here can take a small bit and give our gratitude to our gurus who have taught us so much. And listening to you, it was great. And Dolly ma'am, we have some requests for them.
I don't have to tell. He knows it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so what song should I sing? Probably I can ask my kids. Children.
Yes, sir.
He wants to know whether he should sing for you. That's the first question. So you can quickly unmute and react.
Definitely, sir.
Definitely, sir.
Okay. So let's do this on a positive note. So this song Guleba, I'm gonna sing that song for you. Simply because it says, oh, all of them are saying Orasada. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, let's do that then. No problem. Ready? உன் முட்டை மொழி முறைச்ச 300 ஊசி உள்ள இறங்கும். கட்டு விரியனுக்கும் காதல் உள்ள வந்தா அடங்கும். என் குட்டி இதயத்துல நீ தோண்ட பாக்குற சொரங்கம். நீயும் என்ன நீங்கி போனா நீலவானம் கண்ணீர் சிந்தும். பேசாமத்தான் போகாதடி, பாசாங்குத்தான் பண்ணாதடி. சத்தியம்மா ஓ நினப்பில் மூச்சு முட்டி திக்குறேண்டி. கோபம் ஏத்தி கொல்லாதடி, கொத்தி கொத்தி தின்னாத ஒரு சாத. உசுரத்தான் உருக்காத, மனசத்தான் அலசாத. என் சட்டை கிழிஞ்சு வெளிய பறக்கும் இதயம் வெளுக்காத. கனவெல்லாம் சிரிக்காத, என விட்டு விலகாத. என் சட்டை தேடி அலையும் அடியே. Thank you everybody, and thank you Adi for sharing your valuable time with us and for enlightening us and taking us on a journey on how a song is produced and how a song is recorded. And all of us are really grateful to you. Hopefully,
Can
when the
Aditya
situations
also
are
sing
back
for
normal.
us?
Everyone will run away, that's all.
No.
Guys, and those who want to see Adi playing the tabla, you can very well check out Berkeley videos, and also the latest song "So Baby" from Doctor from Anirudh Ravichanda. He's the guy who's playing the tabla on that song also. So I'm sure all of you would have seen him already. If not, you can check it out today.
Thank you Mervin for making me do this. I really appreciate it. For you,
Yeah,
for
I
hosting.
think
Really, thank you for having me. And students, thank you. Nice to talk to all of you. Really, very, very happy.
Ma'am, can we have a photo with the Aditya's sir, Mervin sir, and the children? If they can go on video.
children, please switch on your video. With your permission, Mr. Aditya,
Yeah,
we'll
ma'am,
just
no
have a few pictures. Children, please switch on your video.
moment of silence for both of us, I think.
Yeah, over to you, Yochana.
Thank you for such an amazing session and for letting us know more about the field of music. Now I call upon Vanshika for the vote of thanks.
Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. On behalf of the pupils Savita Eco School, I, Vanshika Srinivasan of class 11, extend my appreciation to all the people present here. A hearty thanks to our honorable chief guest, Mr. M.T. Aditya Srinivasan, who gave us his precious time and widened our knowledge in the field of music. I am obliged to our honorable chancellor, N.M. Verayan, and our directors, Dr. Savita and Dr. Rajesh, for letting this happen. On behalf of the entire student fraternity, I thank Dr. Savita for taking this initiative and making us better human beings. I am grateful to Ms. Sandana and Ms. Vidya for helping us organize such an event and the faculty for providing us with the necessary guidance required to make this a great event. I thank all the parents and students for attending this event. Thank you once again and have a great day.
Thank you, Marvin. Thank you, Aditya.
Thank you.
All of you have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Vanshika, Yochana, and Teresa, you did very well.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks. Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Have a nice day.